One question we hear a lot is how can we compare cancer in our area to the rest of the province when our area is much smaller? There will be fewer cases of cancer in a community of 500 than in a city of 1 million, but we can compare the levels of cancer in two populations no matter what size they are by using rates. To come up with a rate, we look at how big of a chunk of the overall population is made up of people with cancer. For example, something that happens one time in 1,000 is rare, but something that happens one time in 10 is much more common. Here's an example of how rates work. Let's say we have two regions. In Region 1, we have 40 people, 4 of whom have cancer. In Region 2, we have 10 people, 2 of whom have cancer. If we just compare the number of people with cancer in the regions, we would think that Region 1 has a more serious cancer problem than Region 2. However, because our groups are different sizes, this doesn't give us the full picture. Instead, we need to look at cancer rates. The cancer rate for Region 1 is 4 cases of cancer divided by a total population of 40, for a rate of 10 per 100 people in 1 year, or 10%. The cancer rate for Region 2 is 2 cases of cancer divided by a total population of 10, for a rate of 20 per 100 people in 1 year, or 20%. So Region 2 has a more serious cancer problem than Region 1, even though it has fewer people with cancer. It is also important to look at age when we're comparing cancer in two populations. In Ontario, and in Canada as a whole, the Indigenous population is younger, so more children and young adults, than the non-Indigenous population, which has more adults over the age of 50. Age matters when we are tracking cancer because cancer is more common in certain age groups. Looking at this diagram for the total Canadian population, we see that most new cancer cases are diagnosed in people over age 50, whereas cancer diagnoses in children and young adults are quite rare. Because most cancer cases are diagnosed in older adults, there will be more cases of cancer in populations that have many older adults and fewer cases in populations with many young people. So we need to use a process called age standardization when we compare populations with different combinations of ages. Age standardization is a statistical calculation that allows us to imagine that the two populations we're comparing have the same number of older people and younger people. This example shows us why looking at age groups is so important. Let's imagine we're comparing two populations. One, on the left, is a younger population with many children, many young women, and very few older women. The other on the right is an older population with many older women and fewer young women and fewer young girls. At first glance, we would think that there was more cancer in the population that has mostly older people, 5 cases in the population on the right compared to 3 cases in the population on the left. But if we focus on older women as our population, we see that 3 out of 3, or 100% of the women in the group on the left have cancer, compared to 5 out of 10, or only 50% of the older women on the right. If we hadn't looked specifically at older women, we wouldn't have noticed this difference. The main take-home message on age standardization is that if you see a rate or a graph labeled age standardized, its numbers have been adjusted to account for the fact that the different age mixes of the population represented can make a cancer seem more or less common than it really is.